All right, and welcome again to our user group. Um, so before we get started, there's just a couple of things I'd love to bring up. First of all, if you haven't already or haven't heard about it, we do have CanvasCon coming up in Melbourne. So if you can't make it directly yourself, or if you're able to send a representative from the school or something like that, that'd be wonderful to see you there. So there'll be lots of presentations from lots of different schools. And there are some pre-conference workshops on the Monday beforehand. So it's the 26th is the pre-conference workshops with the conference on the 27th of August, which is a Monday and a Tuesday. And yeah, we're hoping to have we will have a face-to-face user group all together in person on the Monday before the conference. So that may be news to some of you because we haven't sent any communication about that yet. But yeah, we'd love to be able to see you in person there if you can make it. In any case, it'll be a great event to be able to attend. If you're in Melbourne or if you're able to get there, we'd love to see you. I've just put the link there for more information and for registration just in the chat there. So if you want more information, that's where you'll find it. But the agenda for today, we've got a fantastic guest with us today, sharing just some of the simple things that you can do at the school level to really change the dynamic of how you're approaching things within the school in relation to using a learning management system and changing the culture and having that workflow to improve your digital pedagogy within the school. So we'll start off with a spotlight with Peter Riley from Cessnock High School, who's with us today. And following that, we'd love for you to share some of the quick wins that you have in your school. So if you can think of any quick wins that you'd like to share with the group, just in relation to Canvas, it doesn't have to be in relation to Canvas. It can just be teaching and learning in general. These user groups are not just specifically about Canvas. It's sharing good practice in teaching and learning. It just so happens that everyone happens to be using Canvas. So you may as well, if it's related to Canvas, may as well share in relation to that. But also we're going to get some feedback from you live in the meeting in relation to how we want to run these meetings going forward, because they are user groups. So you, the users, should help to define what should be a part of the user group. And of course, if there's any Q&A or discussion, we'll have some of that towards the end if there's time. But if there's, as I said earlier, if you do have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask questions or pop it in the chat, no matter who's talking at the time, because this is rather informal. Everyone has the capability of being able to do that and to share your screen if you need to. So it's not a closed webinar. It is an interactive meeting that we'd love to have your participation in. So without further ado, I'd love to hand over to Peter and just share a little bit about your journey with Canvas at Cessnock High School and what you've been able to do in changing how things are happening in the school.
Sure, Paul. Thanks for having us. As I said to you, I don't know whether there's anything overly groundbreaking in what we do, but I'm happy to share what we do anyway. So we had Canvas or bought Canvas and hadn't really implemented it when I got there. And COVID was a great leg up to make that happen. You had to be online. Everyone used various online tools but it gave us the impetus to do that. Once COVID forced our hand, then we basically said, well, it's going to be Canvas, and we're going to commit to this. And then we got well and truly stuck into the use of Canvas. The use of Canvas at our school is a little bit like everything else, where we're very big on alignment. So it's not just a tool where people can use it or not, do with it what they like or not, or just, you know, some people I'm sure use it in many different ways and heavily use it with everything they do, and others probably very little at all, and they might store documents they pull back every now and then. I'm not sure, but at our place, once we make a commitment to something, it's a discussion and then it's an alignment, and there's a big difference between agreement and alignment. We can agree to use Canvas, but there's not always the commitment there. But alignment means once we're out the door or once we've finished a meeting and we choose a way of being, then that's the way we have to be. So I guess in our school, leadership's been really important in the use of Canvas. We've worked very hard on our middle school leadership too, and by that I mean our middle leaders, so our head teachers, to reinforce our practice and process with everything we do, and that again is with Canvas as well. So as principal, I can say we're doing this or that, and I really don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Well, I do a bit more because I can have access rights to everything in Canvas. But we really need that staff room discussion around this is what we're using, this is why we're using, and this is what we're doing. So that's been an imperative part for us in terms of the rollout, is alignment in our expectations of use and the push from our head teachers in terms of expectations of use. We're also a school where every student has a laptop supplied by the school every single day. 7 and 9, they're returned at the end of the day to be charged overnight and then re-given out every morning. 10, 11, 12, we have the expectation that they take them home and look after them themselves and bring them in every day. But so we have that. We have technology in every room to use, comm boxes. So that again that was through the RAG network, we were able to gain them. So again, that's available. So there's it cuts out the excuses as well in your schools. If you can resource everything, then including your professional learning, then it cuts out the excuse not to use it or the way you use it. And so that's been a really big thing at our school too. We're a very low socioeconomic school, the lowest in the Hunter. So as such, we have funding that supports us, but a critical part is the excuse mentality. So students can't have an excuse not to engage with it. It's supplied with them, to them. The teachers are trained. They obviously all have technology available to them all the time to use. And parents have also been given to various aspects of access that they can engage with their kids. Everyone who gets suspended, and we have more than our share get suspended, they are expected, they take a lone laptop home, they're expected to be online and learning using the information presented on Canvas. So there's also an expectation there that obviously that there's every lesson is on Canvas because it needs to support those students who are either off sick, away or suspended even, and they're expected to access that information and they're checked upon their return. I don't know whether that's anything new to anyone, but that's the process we've taken with Canvas anyway. In terms of implementation, again, like every school, I'm sure we have a homepage for our Canvas that for every class, the expectation is every single lesson is presented through Canvas and resources are stored on Canvas, obviously, which makes sense. It's a wonderful tool. So every homepage has a scope and sequence. I'm just looking at a couple of notes I have here. So a link for scope and sequence, assessment schedules, assessment tasks, button to ask questions, NESA syllabus links, student portal link, school website link, Cessnock High School link. So I guess that's most likely common with all groups. I haven't been at Canvas in any other location. From there, when we go to our actual standard lesson, we have a standard lesson page pro forma that every staff member must use every single time. And within that, we have a standard version, you might call it, or a standard edit on every page that must include learning intention. It must include differentiated success criteria. And also, we also have a do now, which aligns to our literacy or numeracy, and depending on what we're doing at the time. So that's a requirement of every single lesson. So that can be a few things. One, it obviously provides consistency for the students. Another one is, to be honest, in some schools, it might guarantee that a teacher has a lesson plan. And that sounds a bit funny, but I'm pretty sure when we started, I couldn't guarantee everyone was going in every time. Some may teach by the seat of their pants a little bit, or I know where I'm up to in this unit, and they might have their folder of papers and a bit of a scope and sequence with them in a folder, and away they go. So that was really important to us because we work really hard on structure in our school again. We do a lot around quality teaching and trauma-informed practice. And Canvas provides that other structure where kids know exactly what's going to happen every single lesson. And we're at the point now where a student will literally dob on a teacher if they haven't got a learning intention put up. That might sound bad, but it's not meant to be. But they're that used to it, success criteria. And now we're working harder on differentiating success criteria according to, you know, the abilities of the class, which we haven't probably been good at before. So, and of course the do nows aligned to our school focus, whatever it may be at the time. So that ensures that. And obviously head teachers and executive members can view any of their staff's pages at any time and look at that to check that sort of thing's happening. And we do check that as well. Every teacher must have an announcement at least once a week, which then links to their lesson plans for the week, if not more often than that, obviously. And then that's a requirement if they do as well. If they're absent, they must do an announcement every time. So if you're absent, you can't rely on that. The kids getting an announcement from 3 days ago. It must be redone so that our casual who's given access can pick up that announcement, which links to the lesson plan, and we go from there. Obviously, also within that page is the tasks, and our tasks are all the lesson content's all put in there, and all the links to anything they do is also through that common page. So again, it provides consistency. It ensures, I guess, ensures that staff are doing a good job. So it can be used as a management tool of staff, but it's not meant to be really. Early on maybe, but it's more around the consistent practice that kids can use. It supports students, especially.
Oh, looks like we've got a bit of an issue there with Peter. I've got so many questions for him too. Hopefully he can come back on to the Zoom meeting. Whilst we're waiting for Peter, I'm really glad he was able to join us. As he said, Cessnock High School is a lower socioeconomic area where the high school is, and just being able to have that consistency for the students and having that the accessibility of their classwork has made a big difference, and which I wanted to ask him a bit more about, you know, what's changed at the school. So hopefully we'll get him back in a moment. Hopefully it was maybe just need to plug in his laptop to power or something like that. Fingers crossed. But yeah, before he comes back on, which he should do, does anyone have any questions that you would have for him that we can kind of broach? Maybe if you want to put it in the chat, that would be great if you could do that.
Am I back, Paul?
Oh, you're back, Peter.
Yeah, power outage.
Aha! I thought it was something to do with power. That was my guess.
I was at a course all day, so haven't been plugged in all day. So my apologies. There you go. It's good management of me, isn't it? Yeah, look, sorry about that.
No, go for it.
So look, again, there's nothing startling what we're doing, I'm sure, but it's all around ensuring consistency of practice, alignment of what we do. It can be a checking tool, as I said, but for us, and we don't. For us, it's really about staff consistency and supporting the student at all times. So, and again, when people are absent, that importance that there's a lesson plan there is an expectation of all staff.
Yeah. I really like what Christine's put in there in the chat. It's the idea of agreement versus alignment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
Prince. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, look, that's culture. Culture is strategy for breakfast. I know that's nothing new, but we've worked really hard on culture. Some of that comes through stronger conversations, but it's the why behind what we do. And behind every strategy, there's two parts. There's the strategic part of it, but there's also the moral part of it. And it came into Canvas, the moral purpose about what we do is because we're employed to help kids, and if you're using Canvas, well, it's not good enough really just to go, oh, I'm using it because we have to use it. We are very big on what if it was your child. So you start presenting a lesson through Canvas and you think your kid's going to have to use this to learn. Well, I bet you start doing a better job of what you deliver. So again, that's a culture thing, but really, we're really big on that you need to have that consideration behind every element of your work, and Canvas is obviously part of that.
Okay. Well, there's a few questions coming up in the chat.
Look at that.
You can see those, Peter.
I can. Hopefully, I'll get this right.
And if you want to, if Peter's answering your question and you want to come off mute and have follow up or anything like that, feel free to do so.
All right. So in my last school, we operated the policy of if the teacher had not put the homework on Canvas, then the student didn't have to do it. Well, it's not a policy, is it? It's a process, but the teachers have to do it. It's not really a question of what do we or not. So, look, alignment agreement. I said, have you thought about giving access to all teachers to see each other's courses? No, we're not prepared to go that far. We certainly, in terms of training and quality, we do showcase certain people's actions around things and what they're doing. We've even put brain break examples in there and things like that, which is we used to have that as part of it, must be in, but not now. So we certainly showcase good examples and try and drag the rest along a little bit there sometimes. How have I helped manage to move staff away from the memory stick and own resources to sharing? All right. Also, Canvas digital learning influential recruitment. Okay. Well, look, we went off using the stored drives a few years ago now. So the information's there. All faculties must share their information. That's a requirement led by the head teachers. So it's that experienced teachers supporting less experienced teachers. And when we've got literacy and numeracy focuses across the school, obviously it's good practice to share those things. So we run a middle school here where a group of teachers in stage 4 teach English and history component. So they've got the kids for around about a third of all their lessons. That provides a lot of training for the kids, a lot of staff consistency. And we're able to roll out pretty much all our processes through them initially with a consistent practice to either improve upon or as a bit of a tool to take that out. New staff, look, most new staff are generally younger, which they're au fait with technology, and it's just a matter of aligning them to that. It's a bit daunting, obviously, when you go in and you've got to start creating and using that every time with your resources, but it's just a matter of how and where you store them. So we just demand that that's the way it has to happen.
Peter, there was a question there from Roger about your approach to upskilling teaching staff on Canvas.
All right. Look, that's just again, the head teachers, or we've got a couple of teachers who lead our stage 4 quite often. We have stage 4 meetings, and they offer times after school and lunch times to get together at different times to start doing some work. We also have some basic instructions on how to start using Canvas and set up as a Canvas lesson. One thing I didn't talk about, sorry to rave on a bit here, was we use even our professional learning. Every teacher in our school has a professional learning period as part of their timetable. And as such, we get together in cross-faculty groups to do that. But that is always delivered through a Canvas page as well, with a learning intention, with a success criteria for the PL, often with a feedback component of that. So that's been really good in terms of consistency of delivery of that and getting feedback all the time. So another tool we've used it for. Have you had most teachers committing to use Canvas? No, everyone must use Canvas. Tracy, it's just a workplace requirement for us. And those that aren't, we have a discussion around. But again, I guess there's just those expectations that this is the platform we use and the reason we go about it. Some use it a lot more than others in terms of the depth of information they're constantly presenting and digitally, where others can use it as a bit of a go-to point and things. But certainly we've just made that a mandated thing across the school. Students dobbing in, staff or not having learning. Oh, yeah. Do you have a mechanism for student feedback on the courses they take part in? No, we don't. That's not a bad way to go. We've always talked to staff about gaining feedback from their teaching at the end of units. We've issued some standardised questionnaires they can use, and others make up their own, and some are still too scared to go that way. So that's a work in progress, but no, we haven't got a mechanism for kids to give feedback there. We still support the fact that staff are in there and in our school are generally very good and really do have a go. So for us, it's all about supporting them with any resources they need, time to develop, and aligned to that is school management system, so that teachers that take the time to prepare how we want and develop the resources and a quality lesson. We've done a lot on quality teaching here, so we're big on our delivery and our engagement, making sure that they have an environment in which to deliver that in, and I guess not be disappointed when we ask them to put in a lot of effort around their teaching practice.
There's also a question there from Christine. Have you had any pushback from more experienced teachers not wanting to present lessons in such a structured way?
Oh, yeah, certainly. Again, we haven't got many older, more experienced teachers in our school now. So when we brought it in, I guess we're a bit lucky that probably over 70% of our staff are under 30 here. Having said that, I've got a 64-year-old and a 71-year-old, and God bless them, they're on Canvas and they do the basics we require, at least from Canvas, because they're committed teachers. They needed extra support in getting their head around it and using it. But the sharing of using our blueprints and rolling them over so other staff can help develop things and then share that information has been a really important part of that. And because we have professional learning time, both Wednesday afternoon every week, 2 to 3:30, and then their PLG time once a fortnight, we've been able to supply plenty of professional learning time to support them. Some left, maybe because they didn't like that idea or decided to go to their retirements or whatever. Good. We're either all aligned or we're not, and that's just the way it is sometimes. So again, we're not saying there you go, jump in, and if you can't swim, tough luck. There's a lot of support that goes in behind the implementation. Professional learning is the most important thing you do in your school. Lots of blueprint courses. Does it work well? Yes, we do have a lot of blueprint courses. We've been a bit clunky in rolling them over at times and getting that wrong, but we think we're getting better and better at that. And staff are really engaged with that now. So it is going well.
There's also a question there from Gabby. Are students using any form of digital workbook such as OneNote, or are you mainly doing submissions through Canvas?
Senior students are using OneNote and some variations from that, which is perfectly fine for us. But certainly the junior school is very structured through Canvas at this stage. Having said that, seniors still must submit hard copies of work. We haven't gone just electronic submission. We certainly have it there to back up. And we also, now with AI, we're doing a lot of work around drafts so that we can go back and look at the drafts that they're creating along the way and adding to and changing. And quite often you'll see a draft jump rapidly with a whole heap of information dumped in it. And, that can support an argument either way, can't it? So that's been an important part of that as well.
Okay.
Using Canvas impact products. Not particularly. Dave has put me on to, Dave could remind me of that group, which I haven't caught up with yet, which is I gather an impact product to improve that. We haven't.
Sorry, Peter, can I interrupt there? Sorry,
Yes,
Roger.
Oh,
Paul.
hi, Roger.
Hi, man. Sorry, my name's Roger. I'm from Kingsway Christian College in WA. I'm the director of IT. So I don't have an education background, so it's very interesting listening to you explaining, but we have a similar type of approach to you, so it's quite refreshing to hear that. I just want to bring Paul into it. Paul, I'm talking about the impact product solution as part of the suite. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I think Peter wasn't quite sure exactly what I was referring to when I said impact.
So impact is a separate product that can be purchased that can give you, well, it does lots of things, but can give you a lot of insights. There you go. Nikki's just put a link there to impact. What is impact in the chat there? So if you're interested, that's some more information on impact there for you.
With my memory following me, I think Dave has actually connected me into that, and we just haven't had a meeting yet to consider that option. But no, we're not there yet.
Yeah, sorry. So I didn't want to put you on the spot. I was just curious because we are a fairly new college onto Canvas. We have got impact as part of our suite, but we haven't really leveraged its full capability. So I was curious to know if you are yet. That's the essence of my question.
Yeah, Roger. Look, I think again, without knowing your situation, we're very comfortable using Canvas now. So I can imagine impact would be an easy sell and easily taken up. Those extra abilities that it gives us because everyone is now comfortable. So any improvement from there is a bit of a no-brainer, I can imagine.
All right.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Roger. Maybe we can note that for a future agenda item for discussion if it's relatively new to people.
Actually, that's a good point. I know Paul mentioned that as this is a user forum, so
yeah,
anybody, I wouldn't mind actually.
Absolutely.
We've bought the product, we've done some training, we've tossed some ideas around, but to be honest, we haven't really started using it in its full capability. We see it's got a lot of potential.
Yep.
But I'd be very happy to see what other schools are doing using it.
Right.
And sort of also in terms of, I did have a look while as the call was starting. I see there's some recordings for EMEA and North America on impact, but I don't see anything from Asia Pacific. So yeah, if we could have it in one of the next user group meetings, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, Absolutely. And spoiler alert, we're going to share a link to a Google form in a moment. We're taking suggestions from people on what you'd like to talk about in these forums. So we can definitely note impact as being a priority for conversation. And yeah, just to reiterate what Paul said at the start, he and I would love to come to this meeting and not talk at all. We would love for you all to just lead the discussion and talk about what's in front of mind for you. So please do share ideas like Roger has just here. That's wonderful.
Thanks, Nikki.
All right. And this has been really valuable, Peter. Just that message around, especially alignment. I love that. Making sure that staff are aligned, and this is how we do things. But particularly, you talked about the why for students. This is why we're doing it, and that's a huge part of change management, is bringing people along the journey for the reason why, right? So I really appreciate that. Unless there's no more questions, I realize we do have other things on the agenda, but it's been really awesome so far. Yeah, are there any other last minute questions for Peter before we move on to the next part of the agenda?
Not a question, but more of an observation, I suppose. I talk, Peter and I go back a long way, don't we, Peter? And we got to talking one day, and he was telling me the success of Canvas, and it really shone through to me that it's the leadership of the school that makes a big difference in the implementation of Canvas. Being involved with a lot of schools over time, I've seen Canvas come into schools and then fall over as other technology systems do, because the boss doesn't get it. And Peter is the boss of Cessnock, and he brings the principal brings the weather. So yeah, so it's you may think you're doing things basic, mate, but it's a very important thing that you're doing, and leading it and getting that culture right.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
100% agreed. And I just posted the link that Stacey put in the chat earlier, the ABC News story in relation to Cessnock High School, and where things are being noted for best practice in teaching is it's nothing to sneeze at, Peter.
It's not Kansas. We've got plenty to do here. Don't worry. But
we all do.
Yeah. Look, Dave's right. Though leadership's important, and not just me. As I said, your captains out there leading your faculties, or your APs, or your instructional leaders, or whatever. They've got to be all aligned, and if they're undermining the process, you've got no hope. So you get them on board. That's your voice and your eyes in the school, and that's really important facet of what we do. But yeah, get that right. You're right.
100%.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, well, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, was quick wins, which we talked about briefly earlier. Does anyone have any quick wins for things they're doing at school that they'd love to just share with the user group that might be useful for everyone?
Or quick pause. Go ahead.
I do. It's called
great.
It's called elementary. There's a little tick box at the back of Canvas. It will make your life so much easier. Elementary. Look into it. Quick win. Quick tip. There you go.
Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar, it's called Canvas for Elementary, and basically it changes the user interface for Canvas for the sub account that you enable it on. There are some schools that have it, even though the name says Canvas for Elementary, there is the option of either choosing a more junior school font or a senior school, the regular Canvas font. But it essentially standardizes the navigation for all of your courses. Makes it a bit more straightforward and simplified. Also introduces the concept of a homeroom. So you can have a homeroom course for administrative purposes and announcements and things like that. And your courses that you're enrolled in appear as cards in the homeroom as your landing off point instead of the standard the standard Canvas dashboard. So Nikki's just put the guide there for Canvas for Elementary, or the guides, I should say, if you're interested in learning more. I know Gabby seconded. They use it right across the entire K-12 at Barker College, the junior school and the senior school. So yeah, it's if you're looking at one way of standardizing how you're doing things in your courses, it's definitely an option that you can take up on that front. Okay. Anyone else? Quick wins.
I'm happy to talk to anyone that wants to know about Canvas Elementary as well. I think we were one of the first, like early on schools. I spoke to a Canvas user group earlier on about it when we first turned it on and why. So if people want, I'll chuck my email in the chat, and I'm happy to talk if you're.
Yeah, we stole it off you. Thank you. Love it.
All right. Any other quick wins? Oh, thanks, Gabby.
I have one, but don't ask me too much about it because I'm not the one running it. But we're using Canvas Data 2, and it has saved us so much time when we're trying to pull data. So we do essentially effort grades, and we're trying to pull the data and find out what teachers haven't done them in classes. And it used to take us hours to do that, whereas Canvas Data 2, it's literally done in seconds. So that's my colleague that kind of runs the scripts for Canvas Data 2. So I don't know how it works, but it does.
So yeah, we'll need to get Stephen in possibly. Yeah, let me ask the question. Would people be interested in having Stephen come on and share some of the things that they're doing with Canvas Data 2 at Barker? Just do the thumbs up in Zoom if you're interested. Okay, or put in the chat. Or yeah, okay, we're getting a few thumbs up. All right. Looks like that might be a popular topic. And we can also put it, as Nikki said, spoiler alert, we are going to get some feedback, but that's some impromptu feedback. So feel free when we do share that. Oh, Tracy, I love your thumbs up. Like some people are doing if you're updated to the latest version of the desktop Zoom, you can do these fancy reactions. So yeah, let's see. Can I do the fancy ones? No, that's not the fancy ones. Didn't work. Are there any other quick wins that we want to chat about before we dive into that part of the meeting?
I just turned on submit on behalf of the user. I don't know if that's been out for a while. I had a request from a teacher the other day, so that was possible. That's a little tick box in the feature, and yeah, staff can submit kids' work if the kids don't have a device or for whatever reason. There's a quick win, maybe.
I agree, David. That was a game changer for us. So
Yeah.
Staff had been asking for that for ages. Can I please submit a file on behalf of a student? The student might email the file to the teacher and have trouble somehow getting it into Canvas. Maybe the teacher had scanned in handwritten work and wanted to then save a copy of that on Canvas. And we only turned that on a little while ago as well. But the teacher can then go into the mark book, click on the kids' mark box and the little arrow, which sometimes looks like a door, and then press submit for student. And that is wonderful. So yeah, that's a great option.
Yep. So it's a feature option you can turn on in your Canvas admin settings. Submit on behalf of student. So Gideon has posted a bit of a hack in the chat there. A bit of HTML code that puts a border around anything you do using the rich content editor. So one thing, whilst we're on that topic, I should preface this by saying I used to teach web design. And yeah, I know that not everyone is capable of working in the HTML editor. And the product team have also recognized that and currently are working on what's called a block editor for Canvas. So it's in pre-alpha at the moment. And you won't need to use that HTML code anymore, I hope, Gideon. At least if I have any input that I can pass on to the product team, that would be my number one, is not needing to use, well, the idea is not needing to use HTML editor unless you're really hardcore. And being able to do responsive layouts in Canvas will be possible nice and easily for any teacher without needing to use HTML. So keep an eye out for that. It's very early stages at the moment, but hopefully it won't be too long before that comes into the beta environment, hopefully later this year, fingers crossed.
Paul, if I can mention one there in terms of quick wins.
Yes.
And it is using a little bit of embedded code, but it's not really HTML. It's just simply embedding YouTube clips and Google Sheets, Google presentations. That they're really quick wins because all you're doing is copying code, really.
Yep. 100%. Does everyone know how to do that? How to do embeds in Canvas? It's up there on the menu bar. So I can't remember what it's actually specifically called, but it's there in the rich content editor. So where you can just copy paste the code in, and yeah, it'll embed it really nicely.
I've got another one. City Labs, the new City Labs. For those of you who have City Labs, you can turn on the new dashboard, and you can have it so that it's an opt-in for your power users or people that want to have a go first. If you do have City Labs and you haven't upgraded, good thing.
Canvas Queen, Gideon, tell us about Canvas Queen.
Putting me on the spot there. She's amazing. I mean, just how to take pages and to make them really engaging. She's got the most amazing YouTube platform and goes through all these things and offers a lot of templates for free. Very easy to copy and paste. That's my coding, copy and paste. The little bit of something. But yeah, fantastic. Awesome.
Nice. Okay.
Paul, I don't have a quick win, but it's more of a thing that we're about to start doing is in our assessment quizzes. So when you do your assessment notification and we have a quiz to say, yes, I've received the assessment task and all the other bits and pieces that you put in. So, and we do that just as a quiz for the kids who have got an electronic record of it, and that's a digital signature. The next thing we're doing is putting in scales of AI. So with those assessment tasks, we're actually building in then in those questions that I understand that the scale of AI that I've got to use is, a 0 to 4 or something like that. So, 4 could be go for your life, use as much AI as you want, or 0 is, no AI whatsoever, just so that we've got that covered, because that was one of those things that Nessa actually said, if you don't actually explicitly put it in writing for the kids, so in your assessment task notifications, you can't sort of do it. So it's very hard to penalise later on. So we're doing scales of AI in the next few weeks to look at that with the assessment task notifications. So I haven't won yet. It's not a win, but it's coming.
Future win.
Future win.
We'll circle back to it in a future quick wins session, maybe.
I was just wondering, Stacey, with the changes that are coming with the rubric redesign and I believe the functionality that's coming that students will be able to do self-reflection, would you see potentially then that your scales of AI would be built into rubrics for
Quite
students
possibly.
to do?
Yeah. Yep. So because we'll probably actually put it in with our rubrics with learning mastery and everything else, how much AI did you use or something like that. So it could be, anything with that. I think it's going to be a bit of a watch this space with, how we tolerate levels of tolerance of AI, I think.
We've implemented a traffic light system in our City Labs instance, so teachers can use the add-on or the template in City Labs to add it to an assignment, and that's been reasonably successful.
I'd like to see that if you've got a screenshot of it or something later. That'd be good.
Yeah. I'll put it up in a moment.
Oh, thanks.
Nice. Gideon, classic. Make sure you use animated GIFs instead of just a bland color in your course cards. Yes, GIF or GIF, depending on your persuasion of how you like to say that. I say GIF, but 100%. There are some fantastic ones there. And if you've got the skills to create your own, then go for it. I've seen some awesome animated GIFs on people's dashboards before, and it really makes a difference. Just that simple extra engagement with students.
You can make them pretty easily on Canva.
Yeah. Canva, not Canvas.
Yes, Canva's great for making the scrolling GIFs.
Nice. So, Gideon, was that you there?
Yeah, it was briefly. I don't know if it's just us, but I don't know why the color overlay is a default tick, because staff go and get these amazing pictures, and then it's just like looking at it through a kind of dull, drizzly day. And then suddenly, when you show students, when you untick the color overlay, it brings the images to life. Maybe there's a way of stopping that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Now I'm mindful that we don't have a whole lot of time left, and we do have one more item on the agenda, which we've kind of started already. We've got a lot of feedback in the chat, but Nikki, do you have the link there? Or
Yeah, I
do you want
do.
to take over? I'll pass over to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. No, I was just saying I've been frantically writing down as you've been speaking. So thank you for sharing all of those ideas. We want to keep that momentum going and just capture your ideas for what would be helpful in this forum. What do you want to talk about? What sort of sessions do you want to see? I'm also loving Gideon's suggestion there, like, because at some point we'd love to bring the product team in to think about, what are the little enhancements that we could make? What's important in the K-12 community, and decide as a group what's important to us all. So with, enhancing your voice in mind, there is a Google form. I've just put the link in the chat. I would really appreciate it if you could take a minute to put in any suggestions for things you may want to share in a spotlight session like the one we've had today. No bad ideas. If there's something that your school is doing well or that you're conscious of that you want to talk about with the group, that would be fantastic. We would love to have you. We would also like to hear from you what you want to talk about. Not necessarily something you want to present about, but something you want to hear more about. We've heard impact, we've heard rubrics, we've had some really good suggestions here. And the third question there is about what you would like from Instructure. Is there anything you would like from us to present? So if it's rubrics, if it's you want more guidance about the rubrics redesign, you want some insights there, and it would be helpful to bring in the product team to talk about it more deeply, maybe that's something you want to add there. So we would love your feedback on those items. Thank you very much.
So
Get to the form. We good?
Yeah, can everyone access the form? So we'll give you a few minutes to put, even if you put it in the chat, if you could pop it in the form as well so that we can kind of collate it all together, that would be absolutely fantastic. What I might do, just so that it's not silence, I might put the music back on so that
thinking music for a couple minutes. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, let's do that. Just one moment. All right, we're getting some good responses there. A lot of requests there about Canvas data, new rubrics. Yeah, extending use of Canvas, staff training. Yep. Impact was there as well. Yep. All right.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. Like we said, we want to make this about you, not about Paul and I talking at you. So really appreciate your feedback.
And Gideon with all these little secret tools.
We just need a Hacks with Gideon session.
Hacks with Gideon session. What does
love
everyone
it.
think about Hacks with Gideon?
Just run us through them, fast paced, one after the other.
I reckon that'd be great. Oh, thanks, Phil. Whoa. Animated. That's fancy.
Very quick on the fly.
Yeah. That's fantastic. All right, I'm going to download that before it disappears. Grab that GIF. Cool. All right. Now, is there anything else anyone wanted to share? I know we're almost up on the time we had allocated. But before we go, and feel free, by the way, to pass this on to any colleagues, pass the link to the form to any colleagues who'd like to come across or come along to future user group meetings. And the more the merrier. And if they have some input as to what would be useful for them to come along and share or to hear about or discuss, then we'd love to get that feedback as well. So yeah, if you can grab that link before we, if you've still got it open, that would be great. We'll put the link up in a follow-up that we'll send out as well. And also, as you're aware, this is recorded, so we will put the recording up on the Canvas community site so that it's accessible, and feel free to share that around. And we'll try and capture as much information from the chat, because the chat has been fantastic today, as a bit of a follow-up in that community post. But yeah, there's the form link again. But before we go, is there anything else that anyone else wanted to share today? Or maybe we save it for next time?
Yes, we will be putting some thought into a spotlight session for next time. So if you're really excited and want to volunteer before we come and harass you, please feel free.
When you put up the recording, can you have feedback as part of the recording so people could put the links underneath it, or is that not possible?
As far as which links are you referring to?
Well, just from the chat, if people want to add bits to it, if this disappears, or.
Oh yeah, I believe you can add comments. If not, I'll have to see if there's another mechanism for us to capture that if there is extra feedback. But we will try to capture what we do have in the chat from the meeting and put that in there as well.
Yeah, that's a good thought. If anyone has any thoughts on sort of asynchronous engagement too for this group, like outside of these meetings, sharing resources, that sort of thing, we're definitely open to facilitating that. So if you have any thoughts like that, please share them.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks everyone for coming today. And yeah, we'll see you at the next user group.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.